still think that I'm not here? You still think that I'm not working on a long holiday weekend? Of all guys to suggest as much, the stalker himself, Randall. Dear Jim, you can't fool me. So far, this could be taped. You guys did this after yesterday's show. Alvin just timed it perfectly. Quick, who won the A's game last night? Randall, WFI in the OC. A's 4, Seattle nothing. All right, I'm here. It's not that big a deal. Not nearly as big a deal as you're all making it out to be. I am here. I am live. We're all here, except Lyle. Lyle's not here. The Furbs is here. Albie's here. James is here. We're all here. We're doing it. And one of the reasons why I'm here is to talk to this guy, the gangster from the mean streets of West Lynn, Oregon, the godfather of integrity, the 2012 Smackoff champ, the 2014 co-champ, and the host of You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen podcast. We are joined by Chael Sonnen. Chael, good to have you on. How are you?
I'm awesome, man, and I can confirm it. It is Friday morning, 9:22 West Coast time. What's happening, Jim?
Matt, exactly. Thanks for the timestamp. Great to have you. All right, Chael, what do you got going this weekend for the long holiday weekend? What are you doing?
You know what? I just had a son. He's 30 days old, and he is in preparation for the 2036 Olympic Games. So that's what I will be doing. I will be training him.
So, Chael.
Or undetermined, but mark it on your calendar.
All right, I like that. So your son is now a month old. How's that going for you? What's that been like?
You know, it's been wonderful. It's everything that everybody tells you it is, including exhausting. And we were up all night. So if I sound tired, it's because I am.
All right, I see you working. Listen, we will talk all things Smack Off in 1 minute, but let's talk MMA. What was your reaction when you heard the news that Jose Aldo was injured and then finally announced that he was going to pull out of the big fight?
Man, I was shocked. You know, this is the 5th time that he's done that. However, this is the biggest fight the featherweight division had ever seen. One of the biggest fights in UFC history, the biggest live gate in North American history for the UFC. I was pretty surprised he pulled out. You know, it's the same as you, Jim. Whether you feel like it or not, every morning you got to get up and put your boots on. And I was a little stunned that he called in sick.
Hey, Chael, what do you think about that? I mean, is it a legitimate injury and is it justifiable? Or should he be in there in your estimation and should he fight?
Man, this is a tough dude. If he says he's hurt, we got to take his word for it. The bad news, it's kind of like baseball. 3 strikes and you're out. This is number 5. Now, this is a rib break. I've had one of those. It's about the most painful thing you can go through. You can't really move. You can't really breathe. I think the guy's bigger problem, Jim, wasn't just that he wasn't tough enough to go out there on fight night. I think that he's immobilized, and the point I'm getting at is I don't think he can move to make weight. I don't think he can run and do the things necessary to beat the scale the day before. I think that's really why he pulled out. He didn't say that, but as an athlete, I think that's the problem he was facing.
Chael Sonnen joining us. Chael, go back to your first point. That is the 5th time in his career that he's pulled out of a title fight. What does that say about him as a fighter?
You know, it's shocking. You know, this is a problem we have in MMA. Jim, I challenge you right now to tell me one boxing fight where this has ever happened. One time where Sugar Ray Leonard, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, any of these guys have ever pulled out of a main event. It doesn't happen in boxing. I don't know why we're plagued with it in MMA. I don't know that I'm ready to discredit him as a fighter. I'm very frustrated with him right now. On behalf of Dana White and the company, but the dude is ranked number 1 in the world pound for pound, and if I had a vote on that list, I would support it. He's that good. He's that tough. He's just not that durable.
Well, listen, knowing what this fight meant to the sport, knowing what it meant to his company, how do you think Dana White feels about this or feels about Aldo right about now?
You know what? I think he's real grateful that he's got a roster as deep as he does. He's one of the few promoters out there that can deal with these changes. But it's a hit, man. This is a big hit. It was the most expensive fight that he's ever put on. They did a world tour, first-class treatment, flew these guys around in private jets all over the world. Just to mention one of the few things they did, the most expensive commercials they've ever made, blah, blah, blah. And it was a risky move. You know, Dana White's a gambler. This guy had burned him 4 times before. He gave him a 5th shot. I don't think the guy's getting a 6th. I mean, he'll get back in the UFC and he'll do all of those things. He is still the champion. But he's not going to get a push like this again.
Chael Sonnen joining us. Chael, one more thought about Aldo. I mean, one thing to pull out of the fight, but now he's trying to discredit the fight that's going to take place instead of his fight. He said, quote, the only thing he will have, McGregor, is a toy belt to show his drunk friends in his country's bars because that's what an interim belt represents to me, a toy. I am the champion. What's your reaction to that?
Well, that's a fun line. I didn't know he said that. If he did a little more of that, maybe he'd win me back over. But, listen, I mean, this is the bottom line. The championship does go to the guy that has the belt. But when you're talking about who the best fighter is on a specific time and a specific night, if one guy is admittedly saying, I'm not even willing to walk out in the parking lot with you, then he's conceding it's not him. He may be the champion, but we can't say that he's the best fighter come July 11th. And that's what it's all about. Who's the best fighter on a specific night? And if a guy takes himself out of the equation, then he's out of the equation.
Exactly right. If you're not fighting, it doesn't matter. Now, Chael, you mentioned that it's going to be the roster is so deep. You get a guy like Mendes, and Mendes is stylistically is a totally different guy than Aldo. So how dangerous a fight then is that for McGregor?
It's a big problem for him. And McGregor's a wonderful entertainer, and he's a very good fighter. We don't know if he's a great fighter. We don't know that yet because he hasn't been in there with that great competition. Generally, in most divisions, any sport, football, basketball, you name it, top 10, anybody in the top 10 could become number one on any given night. In this division specifically, the featherweight division of 145 pounds, the top three guys, Frankie Edgar, Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, they are really pulled away from the pack. It's hard to imagine that anybody could break into that murderer's row. Until I see Conor do it, I don't know that I can believe he can, but I know he's willing to try. I think that means something, and we know he's a good fighter. He's had fights. He's looked good. He hasn't had great competition yet, but until you do, you can't really hold that against a guy. We're just kind of all sitting around waiting to see what he can do. I played around with him a few days ago. He was extremely fast. He was extremely awkward, and he's a very big guy. I was impressed with how big he is, too. I said, Conor, what do you weigh? He said about 172 pounds. He's got to be 145 in 8 days. So he's going to be a little bigger than Chad, too. I don't know if that helps or not. It might slow him down, but he's a big guy.
Chael, how does that work? How do you lose 30 pounds in 8 days?
I was trying to ask him that same thing, and we were on a commercial break when I was asking him. We were out at ESPN. We came back, and I never got the answer. I've done that before, but I'm considerably bigger. Percentage-wise, I don't have to pull quite as much. So I don't know how he's going to do it. He's very lean. He's got a very busy media schedule. He's training out in Las Vegas. He was in L.A. doing Conan O'Brien last night. He was in New York doing Reebok the day before that. He was in Connecticut the day before that with us at ESPN. So, how does he do the weight? And two, when is he going to find the time? I don't know.
Chael, I mean, is he spending too much time outside of the ring and training? Is he focused? Do you think there's too much of this going on right now? Is this a bad sign?
It's not a bad sign. It's normal. It's par for the course. If he wants to be a champion or a top draw, he's got to get used to this. But it's tough. Everybody will tell you how tough it is. The schedule is really demanding. It's a sport, but it also is a business, and you got to draw those eyeballs. He's the master entertainer, and when you're as good as he is at what he does, you get invited a lot of places. I mean, it's pretty hard to turn down the Conan O'Brien show when you got a pay-per-view coming up. So he's got to go do this stuff. He's got to find time, and he's not complaining. He's getting it done. It's cutting into his sleep schedule, but he's finding a way.
Hey, Chael, I hate to do this, but you're the rare guest they can carry. We haven't even gotten to the Smackoff yet. Is there any way you can do another segment if I take a break right now, or do you need to go?
I would never leave. Are you kidding me? This is a Jim Rome show.
I knew that was the answer. Chael, good man. Way to handle your business. All right, do this, Chael. Sit tight. We'll come back, and the next segment will be your recap of the Smackoff. I'll make sure you have enough time to do your thing. He's the gangster from the mean streets of West Lynn, Oregon, and the godfather of integrity, a two-time Smackoff champ, Chael Sonnen. We will do a second segment with him, all Smackoff related when we come back. But first things first, here is your latest sports update with Marco Belletti.
Live from Southern California, this is the Jim Rome Show on CBS Sports Radio.
Part two of our Chael Sonnen interview momentarily. Right now, time to ask the pros, where you get to ask me a question. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Rejoined right now, and rare is the guest that carries two segments. The godfather of integrity. He won the Smackoff in 2012. He was the co-champ in 2014. He's got his own podcast. It's called You're Welcome with Chael Sonnen. Stayed up all night. He's got a newborn baby. Chael, thanks for hanging in. Good to have you back. We got to talk Smack Off now. Now, you came out of nowhere to shock the world when you won it in 2012, Chael. Then last year, you pulled off an amazing moment when you co-hosted your phone call, or actually shared that call with Mike and Indy. I've got to wonder, having done those two things, as this year's Smack Off was approaching, what were you thinking and how did you approach it?
I'm still depressed. We didn't win it. We pulled out every stop we could. Mike and I put our heads together, and the Smack Off is getting to the level of competition where you've got to pull out stunts. I thought that lefts was awesome. I couldn't believe that he even did it from a helicopter. He worked in the horse racing angle, which was smart. He knows you're a horseman. I thought that he had a killer call. Mike thought that he won it. He thought, okay, this is the guy we have to beat. I knew Brad was a problem. Now, Brad really showed us what was up, is he didn't pull out any stunts. He just simply put together the best call. So Mike and I get together. We decide, okay, look, last year worked really well, mainly because of the shock factor. We had a swerve in there. Let's go back to that. Mike's going to call in, and he was going to try to get run. That was his ultimate call. I said, man, you're just not going to get run in a Smack Off. They're going to assume it's part of the script. So his goal was to act frustrated, act like he fumbled, and then hang up the phone. The problem was he did it so fast, you weren't sure if he hung up the phone because the call was so good or if he was, his call just dropped, which cell phones do. So when we came back later to show, it was the wounded duck play, as Mike put it, I don't know that we had quite enough build-up for that. I think maybe it was obvious that we had something going, but it was still cool. We rented a studio so that we would have crystal clear sound. We had a little background music when we resurrected Mike with the Undertaker's music playing. We had a few things in there. The bottom line was Brad showed us none of that matters as long as you have the best call.
Chael Sonnen joining us. Chael, it's very clear to me, and it has been for some time, even after you won the first one. I mean, you can't fake this stuff. You have a great, great appreciation for the Smack Off, and for that, I appreciate you. I understand why the callers might be into this, but you as somebody, a professional athlete, somebody who's got a lot of things going on, what is it about the Smack Off that you like and respect so much?
It's the ultimate competition. Okay, I've got to do a lot of things in sports, and I started when I was 9 years old, so I've had some pretty cool experiences. I have gotten more street cred when I won the 2012 Smack Off. My buddy Reese calls me up and says, "This is a quote." In fact, he texts me this. "This is the biggest achievement of your life." He told me that. I was on this last Smack Off a week ago. I'll just rewind the tape. 7 days. That was the same day as my 20-year class reunion. Everybody at our party had listened to the Smack Off. They were all talking about it. On the way home, I get hungry. This is midnight. I stop by a 7-Eleven with my wife to see if they still had any hot dogs that I could buy. And a dude in line is like, "The Smack Off was awesome. Great job." So it's the ultimate competition. It takes 1 year to prepare for. So it's really tough. Mike and I are jotting down notes all year getting ready for the thing. So if you're a competitor, it's something you want to enter. And when I told you earlier I'm still depressed from not winning, man, that's real. We were bummed out. My father-in-law, Steve, who you met when you're on your tour coming through Portland, he was bummed out. He's still worked up about it. And, Mike and I re-listened to the calls, and the more we re-listened, the better we thought that we were. But Mike, in fairness, I don't know what he'd say publicly. In private, he thought that Left had it. I thought that Brad had it. I thought it was scored right. And frankly, second this year was really hard to do. Anywhere in the top 5 were stellar calls.
Now, it was as tough a year as there's ever been to score that thing. I mean, I could have made an argument for 4 or 5, maybe 6 guys. It really was.